Hello guys, and welcome to Autism Elements. So I wanted to take some time to go over the data binder and what it would look like. So here is a 1-inch binder, but normally I used to always buy a 2-inch binder because as the year goes on it really does fill up. So on the side we have our name tag, on the front we have just a pretty cover because I like keeping things pretty. But let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look inside the binder itself. So the first thing I have here is a student at a glance. So if I just wanted to take some time to just quickly look at this student, and for the purpose of the video, I did try to make sure that we are just using a very random name. Obviously this is Minnie Mouse, and no, I do not have a Minnie Mouse in my class, but I filled it out just because I like, if I just needed to quickly look without going into details in my binder, I could do that as well. Then next up, I have my parent contact log. So this is where I keep track of all the contacts that I have, whether it's phone, email, whether it's text, whether it's a phone call, and now we could even put conference, online, team meetings, because that's what our world has driven to. So now next we are going to go into the table of contents. So the way that I set this binder up is it is based on the IEP's matrix. Now I have not got a chance to label them, but normally I would put a number. So it would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the tabs. And then this is where you could reference what exactly each number entails. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, and again, this is a sample binder. It is not my actual binder because I wanted to keep privacy rights, but we have this cover. All my covers, I always print them in color paper because they stand out in between my sheets. So it's a nice way for me to kind of divide things up. So here's the cover for curriculum and instruction. So in this particular tab, I have my data sheet. So I break down my goal right here. So this is when I have to meet with my students. I pull this binder out. I have my data sheet right here. And every Friday, I track the IEP goal. Now, what I used to do, there was a couple different things that I've learned throughout my years. First is right behind the IEP goal, I would actually keep the work samples that go with that particular goal. Now, if you have very generic basic curriculum work samples, you can put them behind this cover sheet, but I try to keep all my IEP goals together and the work that goes with it, because when parents or families or advocates or lawyers were questioning me, hey, I want to see the data for goal number 1, then it was very easy for me to just show them specifically the things that the student had been working on throughout the year for that particular goal. I didn't have to be flipping anywhere. It was just all together. But if I had other work samples, this is my cover sheet that is all within curriculum instruction. The next cover that I have is on assessments. So anything that I utilize to assess my students, maybe progress monitoring tools, maybe diagnostic assessments, formal assessments, anything like that. Even informal assessments, I would put my copies or originals depending on what I was able to put it in. Normally I did copies for my data binder because the originals always went in the queue in my world. So I did keep copies at least of the data sheet result, or like maybe a learning profile. Everything went in here, my copies, just so I could always have my own record. If you have a student that goes to inclusion, you definitely want to include it. Most of the times their students go to inclusion for curriculum instruction content. So whether it's reading, math, I would always put that in there. And I even have some work samples that my general education teachers would provide in there. So again, when it came to curriculum instruction, everything was together in one place. Tab number 2 goes into social and emotional behavior. Just like I mentioned to you, I do have all my covers with a color paper. It doesn't have to be cardstock. I happen to only have cardstock when I printed this one, but you can use any color paper. And if you don't have it, then you know what? Just put a little, I used to use even like little sticky notes, or even like those little sticky tabs that you put, you can do that as well. So again, here's my IEP goal. In this case, this one particularly, this IEP goal is much about social pragmatics. This is about raising hands, so this is going to be observational. But if I had anything that I use, such as a social story or visual cues, I would put a copy right behind it because I would like to document exactly what I used when I was implementing this IEP goal or teaching the student on this goal. Next, I have my cover for my home notes, and the reason why this is in here is, again, because I based this IEP binder based on the matrix from the state, and in social emotional, it is where they had home notes placed. So if we ever got audited, I can use this binder to also cover my state audit and make sure that everything they needed would be in one place. Social and emotional also have behavior plans, so I would put a copy of my behavior plan in here so I can have it at all times. And then, very important, if a child has a behavior plan, you must have behavior plan data. So here is my data. Now obviously this is my sample. This is a frequency sheet, but I will probably include any, intervals, any ABC charts, anything that has to do with behavior. I will incorporate it in here so we can have it to review. My next one is independent functioning. Same thing, I have my IEP goal. Now in this one, my student actually was using the agenda to practice the inherent writing skills because it provided with boundaries, and it was something they had to do every day, try to push their independent skills. So here's what I have done, because I have used this goal before with other students who were trying to become independent as they get older. What I did is I would try to put some random photocopies from the agenda as my work sample right behind it, because again, you want to have proof right there and then of what you've been doing with that IEP goal. Communication. So in my counting, communication is covered by the speech language pathologist. So I used to just ask my speech language pathologist if they wanted to put in anything in there, and I would always ask them for a copy of their assessments that they did prior to an IEP. Over here's my health. So I always kept this available because again, it is part of the matrix, but also if I had any doctor's documentation, any sick notes or anything like that, I will put it in here just so I could always keep everything super organized. And then the last tabs is IEPs and progress reports. So I would keep my current copies in here of that IEP that I had every single time. Then we would go into conferences, so any actual conference copies, any meetings that you have with parents, I would document it in here. And the last one is actually report cards. So again, any gen ed, things that you have to do in paperwork, I would document it in here. Now I always did keep some extra tabs. I only did 1 through 8, but just in case for any reason I wanted to include anything else, I would have it here. What I love about this binder, and here's what I have learned, is it is my multi-purpose binder. I used it for parent conferences, I used it for IEPs, and I used it for data chats with my administration, and I used it when a student got audited by the state. Now that does randomly happen. They have their logic, but they will question everything on a matrix. So what I learned throughout my career is we gotta be smarter and work smarter, not harder. So why did a binder that could basically suffice everything? Now what I did used to do is at the end of every IEP year, so that means like this particular student, their IEP is due in November, okay? So it finishes in November. When I have a brand new IEP, I take out all the old data. I either put it in a rubber band, put it in a folder, or put it with a binder, a ring binder, and I would actually give it to my ESE specialist who's in charge of our meetings, and they would put it away. I would replenish with brand new IEP goal sheets. So my binder was always based on the current student's IEP, because I did not want any confusion about what data belonged to that year. So you may store away the old IEP. I have found this strategy to be super useful and successful. But if you like this, I know it took me a while to kind of organize my thoughts, put it together, but I have everything in my Teachers Pay Teachers. So if you're interested in kind of getting all the templates and everything ready to go, including the data sheets, you can definitely look at that in the link that I will place below. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that it really helps you guys out. Thank you guys.